So, today we're going to go through something relatively special, I gotta have to say, because we're going to go through Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. And I don't really think that I've gone through it. I just remember that I've once kind of gone through a few sections of it, but I'm very, very interested in what Derek Sivers has to say about it. And therefore, we're going to go through the book notes article by him. I am very, very happy to go through this, and I am also really looking forward to it because I assume, and I more or less also hope, that there's indeed going to be a lot of knowledge and a lot of necessary things we can learn from that in here. So yeah, we're going to see after the intro, as always. As every day. Because this is what we are doing. Because this is what we are doing on this podcast, you know. But yeah, with that being said, hello, welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast, and I'm really, really happy to be here. As I said, I'm fucking pumped to go through this one, but not without the actual thing. Let me see, there it is as well. Yeah, so, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, translation by C. Scot, Hicks and David V. Hicks. Pretty interesting. Brothers, I assume, kind of. I don't know why I'm assuming that. I don't know why I think that, believe that. But yeah, a true classic filled with Stoic wisdom, mostly about being being your best rational self, doing good for its own sake, and not letting other people upset you. And I think especially the last point is just, as such, a very, very important one, because if nobody can upset you, then you're already in a really, really good space. I think, I believe, I guess. More or less. Introduction by translators and not by Aurelius. We need to be reminded more often than informed. Yes, I would say so as well. Work intelligently with what is given and not wasting time fantasizing about flawless people and perfect choices and perfect situations and perfect opportunities and perfect whatever. Because, yes, work intelligently with what is given. Which, by the way, also means that you don't have to buy yourself a fucking microphone. You just gotta use a fucking phone. And it is working really fine if you know how to deal with it and if you just know how to work with it. Quite. You know, it really is good. Just really don't get me wrong. It really is good. Of course, compared to a microphone that is a microphone per se, this is not a microphone. The microphone inside of here is just very small probably, but it is working really fine. Yeah. Marcus never did anything, not even the smallest thing, as if he considered it unimportant. He took a detailed interest in all matters. Which I don't know if it is a good thing, but yeah, it depends. Marcus regarded obstacles as opportunities for the exercise of reason. Guard the mind from false opinions and harmful desires. If we fail to exercise self-censorship and judgment, then we are at the adman's dream and our lives are not... If we fail to exercise self-censorship and judgment, then we are the adman's dream. And our lives are not our own, I guess. Good life begins in the mind, but one cannot realize a good life cut off from a good society. This is a pretty good one. It really is, because it kind of just says that it really also just comes up to the people that you're surrounding yourself with. Of course, if you do, how should I say, I'm sorry. Actually, always after eating. I think this could be the case. You know, before I'm eating, I'm never actually tired and shit. But yeah. Anyways, book 2. The thing is, yes, the people around you are definitely very, very important. And you should be having kind people that are supporting you, around you. Very important. Book 2. Remember how long you have procrastinated and how consistently you have failed to put good use your suspended sentence. Your days are numbered. Use them to throw open the window of your soul to the sun. Take the time to concentrate your mind in the acquisition of some new and useful knowledge and stop it from flittering about. I'm sorry for the poor reading. I am really. But what is flittering? I don't know what flittering means, but I'm actually gonna do this because yeah. Move quickly in an apparently random or purposeless manner and stop it from flittering. Well, yeah. I think it makes sense. And I'm, by the way, also trying to do this at this point in time. I was a bit... Well, is it actually a bit? No, it's actually quite something. I was influenced and or inspired by somebody else to not in the evenings sit there and watch some YouTube videos mindlessly and doing some shit. I thought that I could also use the time for either doing some cool stuff that I'm gonna just feel better about myself. I'm gonna feel better about my situation, about what I'm doing this day. But on the other hand, I could also just do some podcast things. I could just also look up some things that I've always wanted to look up. I could also use the time to finally reflect a little bit on what I've been doing, what I'm doing, whether it makes sense to just think about things for a bit. Because I think it is something quite important, and I think it is also something that's quite necessary, or can be quite necessary. And therefore, I think it is also just time used in a pretty well manner. I think, at least, I really believe in that. Let's see. Take the time to concentrate your mind in the acquisition of... I've got that. Nothing is more pathetic, motherfucker, than feverishly circling the earth and probing into its depths to guess what other people are thinking, while all the time failing to realize that one only needs to attend to the inner spirit and to serve it with unswerving devotion. I don't know what Marcus is willing to, or do you say Aurelius? Marcus Aurelius. Well, never mind. What he's trying to tell us there, or tell me there. But what I'm seeing there is that to guess what other people are thinking, like, we will never ever know. And this is kind of based on just something else that I've read like yesterday and the day before, which is really cool, and I think really amazing thing. If you really want to know what someone is thinking, then you could ask. Just ask. Of course, there is some good ways to ask something, and there is also some bad ways to ask something. And well, just keep in mind that there is two ways. And there's also, not necessarily good and a bad way, but kind of a good and a bad way. Like, I don't know, like, it is a difficult thing, because even though you might think that it is a good way, it doesn't really mean that it is also in the end going to be a good way, because it essentially is not only about you, because it is also about the other person. So the interpretation of the other person does also matter quite a lot. Yeah, anyway. Even the slightest act should have some end in mind. I think it always has. I think always. No matter what you're doing. And even though you say like, okay, no, I didn't just, there was no purpose in doing that and whatnot. I think there's always a purpose, especially if it is just, I don't know. Yeah, okay, it could be not really conscious, but of course, I believe that you might be having a subconscious or unconscious reason why you're doing something, whatever it might actually be. Whether it is talking to somebody, whether it is just drinking something, whether it is just saying something, whether it is whatever. And I think figuring oneself out in that manner, in that way, is a good and smart thing to do. Book 3. Purge your mind of aimless and idle thoughts. Show the world a simple and kindly man, a good neighbor, indifferent to sensual pleasures and luxuries. Indifferent to sensual pleasures. Untouched by jealousy, envy, and mistrust. And this, by the way, is just something that I kind of want to achieve as well. To be, especially I think, remembered as such a person, even though, like, some people just gonna hate you anyway, just by your looks. Just because you look the way you look, just because you are the person you are. Maybe just because you are indeed a very nice person, and which makes them jealous. Why am I not so nice and kind and good? And why don't have I so much puss? For example, I don't say that it is gonna be the case, but for example, but yeah, I think there's always gonna be somebody that just does not like you, and I think this is okay as well. Like, not everyone has to like you. I believe. Neither popularity nor wealth nor power nor the pleasure of the flesh should compete in your affection for the good that flows from reason and neighborlessness. This is actually fucking good sentence, because it excludes or includes, no matter, it depends on how you look at it, so many things. Popularity, wealth, power, pleasure of the flesh, and whatnot. If it is to the advantage of your reasonable self, seize hold of it. If it is merely to the advantage of your animal self, admit it and don't pretend it's more than that. Yeah. Yeah. I think this is also a really good one because like there's always just two sides of us. Like there's always the animal side. Like why am I? And of course you take a piss because you have to. But I think it is more or less your animal brain, isn't it? Kind of. It is a very bad example. All other pleasures I think are good examples. If it is to the advantage of, I've already read that. Yeah, super. Take no detours from the high road of reason and social responsibility. Nothing produces greatness of mind like the habit of examining methodically and honestly everything we encounter in this life and of determining its place in order of things, its intended use, its value to the whole universe, and its worth to man in his role as citizen. Also a very, very good one. Like, I don't know. I just gotta have to check whether everything is fine because I'm a little bit afraid. Because I've only had like, I think 4% or something, which is not that much. 6%. That's good. That's fine. That should be good to go, actually. The thing is, if you think about it, like I think that we all should think a little tiny bit more about life in general. Not particularly about something very specific, but just about all the things that are happening to us and just examining them, just having a look at them and just maybe also seeing what the purpose of that might have been or might is. Also just in terms of things that happened to us, I guess, in the past. Pursue the matter at hand along the straight path of reason, advising with intensity, vigor, and grace, and without being distracted along the way. Just as surgeons keep their scalpels handy, keep your principles with you at all times, ready to delve into anything. Stop jumping off the track. You don't have time to do uncrucial things you have collected for your old age. Throw off vain hope and spirit to be finished. Come to your own aid while there's still time. I like just come to your own aid. Help yourself. Just have a look at it and help yourself. I already like it. I already just enjoy this episode so much. And also the other episode, like 2 amazing books. Like I really like that. I really like just feel that I'm using the time for you and also for me in a good way. Because I don't know, like there's a lot of wisdom. I think it is also just pleasure. Of course, I like going through it. And yeah, book 4. Never act without purpose and resolve or without the means to finish the job. This is interesting. Because this is particularly also something that Kevin Hart is doing. When he's starting something, then he's also going to end it. Even though, like, of course, then I don't know. Like, then you should really, really think about the things that you're starting, whether it is worth the effort, quite. Because, I don't know, there's a lot of things that are not worth the effort, and there's a lot of things that you're gonna notice aren't that important and or necessary and or interesting as well. Take this vacation and charge your spirit, but not beyond what is necessary to send you back to your work, free of anxiety and full of vigor and good cheer. Which means just also rest. It is fine if you rest. Nothing outside the mind can disturb it. Trouble comes from mind's opinion of what lies outside it. Yes, this is, I think, a classic Stoic thing, but it is good. Because it is indeed the case. There's always, when somebody says something to you, it does not mean that you're gonna, that it is making you angry. It is what you think. It is how you're interpreting it. It is how you think about it that makes you angry and that leads you to being angry. Because of that, of course, like there has to be a trigger, but there's always like trigger, you, and then your emotion. You know, you decide, basically. You really do. Even though it's always a little bit of a tricky thing when it is about crying, I guess, and being, not being lost, even though it was on my tongue, but when it is about grief and all those things. Like, of course, when somebody dies, you're gonna be sad. But yeah, can you change it then? Should you change it then? Well, one reason goes to work for you, and what more can you need? One's reason goes to work for you, yes, indeed. And I think it is something incredibly important, having a reason for what you're doing. And I've seen this as well, like, just spending my days somehow. I don't like that. I don't like spending my days just somehow, without any purpose, without any goal, without any reason. But for example, just learning maths, this has given me some sort of a reason. Like, I know that I can do something. I know that I can do something that's smart, that makes sense, that is not nonsensical and is not only wasting time. Of course, I could just also, I don't know, record all day long, but at some point I'm finished, quite. To be happy, limit your activities to a few. Do what is necessary and no more. Remove not only unnecessary actions, but also the superfluous ideas that inspire needless acts. To be happy, limit your activity to a few. And really focus on them and really be good at them, ? Maybe. The man who fails to understand what goes on in the world is a fugitive running from the law. What is a fugitive? I do expect escapee. Okay, I've kind of just expected something else. Something more rude, I would say. Change is never bad nor good. Judgment about change is not helpful. Things change. Things happen. How lucky that I am not broken by what has happened. Bad luck born nobly is good luck. I would say this as well. But I've just catched something. Change is never bad nor poor judgment. Yeah, of course. What I had to think about while reading this, I'm gonna repeat it once again. Change is never bad nor good. Judgment about change is not helpful and or is making it good or bad in that sense. Of course, I mean, if something happens and it has something to do with other people, but also with you, and they ask you, I don't know what's going on, what is happening, just different things, and you just say like, well, it is what it is. It is what it is. I know change is what it is. Things are changing. It's not gonna stay the same and stuff. But I think Stoicism also includes a lot of optimism, but just thought. The thing is, then people of course gonna be like, you just act like you just don't really care and whatnot. But because it happened to me as well. Like I do care, but I don't. There's no fucking reason to just. Yeah, I don't know. There's no reason to be angry or just mad and sad and all the fucking time and whatnot. Like, I don't know. Like, change is what it is. Some things are just what they are, and things happen and things don't happen as well. I just tend to not see things in such a, let's call it bad way, I guess. I don't know. Often also not really. And I should be working on it. And I should also just be working on like, this is what people did and this is what people say and how it makes me feel. Because ultimately it is in my hands how I feel about the things that some people did. Book 5. Were you born for enjoyment? ? Look at the plants. Ants, spiders and bees all busy at their work welding the world. Why should you hesitate to do your part? This, by the way, is a very good question. Like, why are we born? Like, what are we meant to do? I mean, of course, reproduce, kind of. Of course, it just, yes, it makes sense, but I mean, like, it is about searching purpose. It is also about, let's say, finding purpose, more or less. Because you can indeed just have a purpose. Whether it is helping people, whether it is building something, what it is, whatever. Whether it is just living the best life, like, I don't know. Purpose could also be like just drinking all day fucking long, taking a lot of drugs till you fucking die. Yeah, okay. I don't know if it is that sensical. It's also just not that long term. But yeah. This book really makes me think, but in a really good way. In terms of like, I don't know. I'm sitting here in the middle of Europe. There's nothing I have to worry about. I am gonna concentrate on learning afterwards. It's the only thing that I kind of have to do. I don't really not like it. I wouldn't necessarily say that I just really, really fucking enjoy it. Even though, like, I don't know what I should do anyway. Or just, if I wasn't doing this, I wouldn't know what I was doing, what I should be doing. If it is good to say or do something, then it is even better to be criticized for having said or done it. I'm not sure. Be like a vine that bears its fruit and ask for nothing more than the pleasure of producing grapes. A dog hunts, a bee makes honey, and one man helps another. I like that. Help other people. It feels good. It is a good thing. What does not hurt the community cannot hurt the individual. Every time you think you have been wronged, apply this rule. If the community isn't hurt by it, then neither am I. But what if the community is hurt? Then don't be angry with the person who caused the injury. Just help him to see his mistake. It is so calm. It is so like anti-aggressive. It is so like control. It is so in control. we are in control. It makes me feel like in control. This is what it is. And I think ultimately control can really make you happy. Like if you know that it is what you do, it is what you decide and whatnot, then it's good. And I'm going to go through book 6, and I think that's going to be it for today then. Factual descriptions allow you to see things for what they are. Whenever something makes ambitious claims for itself, lay those claims bare by stripping away all the fancy dress and imposing the naked facts. When you flatter yourself that you are engaged in some worthy enterprise, then you are most easily deceived. Prove to me that I am mistaken, I will gladly change. Harm comes from persisting in error and clinging to ignorance. Yes, indeed. But, I don't know, like it is a very, very, very thing that I talk about and I just more or less think about, because, I don't know, I'm not gonna do just something that is in a fucking newspaper. And especially not if somebody just tells me like, okay, this is what they say, somebody. I'm not gonna fucking do that. I don't fucking care. I do things that I've examined, that I've seen, like, okay, if it is, like, of course, if they're gonna say like, okay, eat 37 grams of sugar each day, it makes you happy and feel good and whatnot and healthy, then I wouldn't kind of still not do it, which is a problem. That I'm so in my space and I just can't step out of it so easily, It's like an addiction. I know it's not that easy, but it's, well, yeah, never mind. Think of the virtues and talents of those around you. The sight of these splendid qualities in our friends, keep them always in mind. And always point them out. See them and point them out, because it's nice. It makes them happy. The happiness of those who want to be popular depends on others. The happiness of those who seek pleasure fluctuates with moods outside their control. But happiness of wise grows out of their own free acts. You always own the option of having no opinion. Things you can't control are not asking to be judged by you, so leave them alone. I.e. the weather, i.e. other people, i.e. a lot of different things. The stock market, for example, as well. And the last one, learn to concentrate on what those around you are saying. Enter as deeply as possible into the mind of each speaker. And try to understand. And try to be empathetic. And try to see the world how they are seeing it. Because we are seeing things, we are saying things based on the things that we are seeing, I believe, in terms of like, maybe this is something that somebody told me. Maybe this is something that I have learned in my life. Maybe this is something that makes sense for me. And yeah, listen to the people, but you don't have to act on it, no matter who's saying it. Of course, like, there is just gonna people in some situations, and there's a really good post by Seth Godin about that. There's gonna just people in certain situations that know more than you, and it makes sense to listen to them. Often, not. Often it is also the case, like, just don't listen to these people. Don't. It's not a good idea. But often it is a good idea. But yeah, this is going to be the end of the episode. I really am thankful for you being here. And therefore, yeah, I wish you the best health, wealth, happiness, and also success. And also hope that you're going to remind yourself when you're going to be remembered, which basically means your legacy. And basically means just being a nice person and then being remembered as a nice person. 3 other questions that I'm having for you are: why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? These 3 questions, I know I've just forwarded. 3 questions are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea, which is kind of the non-plus ultra amazing thing that could be happening. But of course, the question of today is, what could you do? Whether it is saying something, whether it is building something, or whether it is listening to somebody, what could you do to just make somebody's day, or month, or week, or maybe even year? Yeah, this is the question of today. And with that being said, thank you once again for being here and going through it with me. I really, truly appreciate it. And I'm hopefully gonna see you the next time. So, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.